Welcome back to This Day. Joining me right now is U.S. Representative Young Kim. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me, Bobby.
Yes.
It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk with you. I know you've been on the show many times, but my first time to meet you. And so I'm super curious about your background. You were born in South Korea and moved to Guam.
I was born in South Korea after I finished my elementary school.
Okay.
And then went to Guam, because my sister was already serving in the United States Army and she was stationed there. She's the reason why my family was petitioned as immigrants.
Okay.
I finished my elementary school there and then went to Hawaii for high school education and then came to California to go to USC. Thereafter, I was working in a private sector, but little did I know that road will take me to working with then State Senator Ed Royce and then eventually to U.S. Congress. Worked with him for 21 years in his congressional office before I left to run for State Assembly, where I served a term in Sacramento. Now I serve you. It's truly an honor to work on behalf of California's 40th congressional district members, residents, including the Laguna Woods, every single day in Congress.
That's wonderful. What a great career you've had so far. How do you choose the things you want to focus on?
Well, it's really important that I listen to the residents and their needs. So having the town hall meetings, usually when I'm in Washington, D.C., we do telephone town hall meetings. I really love that venue because this is what people ask. We ask all kinds of survey questions, and what is the best way you want me to communicate with you? And they say telephone town hall is overwhelming. Through it, we ask questions about what are important issues. And so that's how I decide what issues I should focus as legislative priorities. And that is really important for places like Laguna Woods, protecting Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits. These are very important because this is something that the seniors worked hard to pay into the system, and when they retire, they expect that to be there. And that's why I'm working hard to protect and strengthen those programs.
Yeah, and some of the things that you have done so far while in Congress was voting to reduce federal spending and to protect, like you said, Social Security and Medicare and veterans care.
Look, I'm also approaching Social Security age. And my husband is a retired U.S. Army veteran. And so he gets his health care from the veterans, VA offices. And so it is very important for me. So when I talk about how important it is to protect the programs that will benefit the senior citizens, especially those retirees, it's personal to me.
Now, what are some things that you do to protect it? How does that work?
Well, obviously there are programs that people pay into.
Yes.
I want to make sure that the federal government does not rein in to use the money that's already set aside as a fixed mandatory spending for Social Security, Medicare, and health care for veterans. Those are mandatory spending. As we discuss the budget and appropriations, there are a tendency to get into those mandatory spending to pay for other programs. I'm saying no. So we protect those programs, and then we talk about if there is a reasonable ways to reduce spending, then we do it in the non-defense discretionary funding. So that's why I recently voted for a bipartisan bill that will protect Social Security, Medicare, and VAs while doing spending cut in a reasonable way.
And so I was reading in some of the notes, it said when you voted for this, for the Fiscal Responsibility Act, that it cut $2 billion in government spending over the next 6 years.
That comes from the non-defense discretionary fund.
Okay.
We didn't touch the mandatory spending that included Social Security and Medicare. That is about 80% of our total federal government spending.
Okay. And then tell me about the $28 billion of unspent COVID funds.
Okay, so during the COVID, there were funds that were allocated through the CARES Act. Now, we have already declared, President Biden declared COVID era is over.
Correct.
The money was already allocated, but we have not spent it yet. So we are clawing back those money, which is about, $28 billion.
Yes.
That is the money that will go into cover some of the other cuts that we made in that non-defense discretionary fund. So we're not touching the mandatory spending,
Right.
like I said, but those monies that were allocated but have not been spent, we are using that to pay for some other programs. Makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. And one of
Yeah.
the other things it talked about was putting the responsibility of student loans back on the borrower.
Exactly.
Instead of coming out of
So
taxpayers.
when you take out a student loan, you sign that promissory note to
Yes.
say that you will pay back. So when President Biden came in and said, we're going to forgive all student loans, the student loans doesn't go away. Somebody else have to pay for it.
Right.
Your children and my children who worked so hard to get rid of their student loans, now we're asked to pay for somebody else's student loan. So if you took out a loan, pay it back. Simple as that.
I know it took me 10 years to pay off my student loans.
Right. So by doing that, obviously, we're not reining into the taxpayers' funds, and we'll be able to pay for those mandatory spending and protect Social Security and Medicare.
Yes, that's wonderful. I like that idea. And one of the other things of the protection, you talked about the veterans care. I thought this was really interesting that especially those for exposed to burn pits
Yes.
and other toxins during their time of service.
Right. So when veterans, either they are deployed or voluntarily sign up to be deployed to, let's say we're talking about Vietnam, Vietnam War, Korean War, or anything else that they were sent to fight for us to protect the freedom in conflict. They were exposed to those burn pits and other toxins that create their healthcare issues for life. Yeah. We need to make sure that the programs are available for the services for healthcare to take care of those veterans with those healthcare needs. Those are the things that I'm paying attention to so that we have the funds available to take care of it. That brings me to Veterans Fair that I'm working on. My office will be putting that on in July, I believe July 15th.
July 15th, yeah, 5 p.m. in the Community Center in Marketplace in Tustin. So yeah, let's talk about this for a moment. You said that it's for the Vietnam era veterans and or their spouse.
So we're focusing on that. So during the Vietnam, Veteran Resource Center, we're bringing a representative from Long Beach VA to talk about the benefits that are available for veterans that may be getting it already, but there are other programs they may not be aware of. So we want to educate the veterans for the benefits they're entitled to. At the same time, we want to honor those Vietnam era veterans. So we are presenting the congressional pin. This is a way to recognize and honor their service. At the same time, anyone who is listening, I want you to know if you know anyone in your neighborhood, in your community who are Gold Star families, we want to also honor Gold Star spouses. Because, when we have veterans, when we have people serving in the military, it's not just the personnel that is serving our country, it's the families who are going through a lot of sacrifices.
Yes.
And especially if we have Gold Star spouses and the families, look what they have to go through.
Absolutely.
So we want to recognize you, recommend someone that you know who served during the Vietnam War or know any Gold Star families that should be recognized, please contact my office. Brandon Muller, who is our military veterans liaison, HMVA or Anaheim Hills, 949-268-6706.
Wonderful. I like that. And then some of the other things is introducing National Nursing Workforce Center Act. Tell me about this.
So I work closely with former mayor and current councilwoman Beth Haney from City of Yorba Linda. She is also a very active nursing practitioner. She brought it to my attention, the shortages of nurses. Nurses play a very vital role in protecting our public health, but they're also faced with burnouts, especially during COVID. We saw their brave, heroic work that they did. But it's very difficult for us to retain that workforce, especially in the nursing area. So we are creating a pilot program to make sure that we are taking an important targeted steps to stabilize and strengthen our nursing workforces. So that's that National Nursing Workforce Center Act.
Very important. A lot of great work that you're doing. I can't wait to see what else you're going to achieve during this term and the next, hopefully a while before you retire. Thank you for joining us. Oh, one last thing, just for anybody who wants to get a hold of you, Laguna Woods office hours, the third Tuesday of every month, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Laguna Woods City Hall. People can stop in to ask questions or anything they need.
So next Thursday will be July 20th, and we look forward to seeing a lot of constituents from Laguna Woods.
Oh, wonderful.
Come and talk to us about any needs that you have, because we've been able to work on constituent casework and return money to their pockets, especially those IRS monies, Social Security monies that they are entitled to. We were able to work on them, and so far we've helped over 4,000 constituent casework and return over $20 million.
Wow.
So we
that's
are
incredible.
here to serve you.
Yes.
Contact us.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will have more of this day right after this.